everybody. Welcome to Sports Squad Season 2, Episode 11. My name is Tyler Wargo.
And I'm Mickey Perella.
And today, we have a lot to talk about World Series. Obviously, that came to a close as we saw the Dodgers won. We also will be talking about NFL Week 7, which was last weekend. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. As we kick things off with the MLB World Series, as the Dodgers face the Rays. First starting off the game, Rays were actually up by a point, but then they blew it. Snell was looking really good. And then the coach decided to bring him off because he allowed one walk. What are your thoughts about that? Personally, I think the Rays really messed up right there, and it cost them the game.
You're absolutely right. The Rays absolutely cost the game by that decision. It did not make any sense at all. Blake Snell was absolutely dealing, as he said. He only gave up 2 base runners in his entire outing, and then he got pulled, which kind of shifted the momentum toward the Dodgers. And guess what happened? The Dodgers won.
They started hitting
after
after that.
Champions.
After Snell got pulled out, they started hitting constantly. They started reading the curveballs, reading the fastballs like it was nothing. They were hitting like it was easy for them. So they beat the Rays to win the World Series. They won that series 4-2, and honestly, congrats to the Dodgers and Los Angeles. They now have the Lakers as championship winners, and they have Dodgers also as champions too. So LA might be the championship city, really.
It really has. And Los Angeles has just been great this year. The Dodgers, the Lakers. Does that mean the Los Angeles Rams in the NFL are now going to be a Super Bowl contender?
Who knows? Rams have been looking pretty good this year. So
they have been looking good.
We might see that. It's definitely possible. As a Dodger fan, I think they really accomplished this goal. They've been trying for years and years as they made it to the World Series, but they would never win a championship.
Definitely.
And finally, they won a championship, so it's very blessed.
And also,
the Dodgers
Clayton Kershaw got that monkey off his back.
Exactly.
He's been trying to get that thing for the last 6 years, and he finally got the job done.
It's nice seeing that. He's been working really hard, and it really pays up for it. So we got to celebrate with that win. So we also will take you over to the Mets as something happened. Obviously, this is their off season right now for the Mets, but they have found a new owner, and Mickey will be talking about that because he's a Mets fan.
Definitely. Mets fans, congratulations. Steve Cohen, who is with his $14 billion, is now going to purchase the team from the Wilpon family. He paid $2.4 billion in order to get the team. This is great news for the Mets. Talk about the Wilpons, who really did not use all their funds wisely because they were really cheap. Now Cohen's going to come in with a bigger budget, spend more on free agents, spend on the analytics, which they've been one of the worst teams in that department according to all the lists that I've been reading. So this is a big opportunity for the Mets to really turn into the East Coast Dodgers. You know what the Dodgers did? Why did they become so successful? Because they had the money, they had the players, and then they used it to find gems. Now, if the Mets can do the same thing, they can be a competitive team for the foreseeable future, and they can compete with teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Red Sox. They don't need to be a second market team anymore. They can be a front runner with everything that's going on in baseball, and that is exciting.
The Mets have been really, really good a couple years back, and I know they've been in a slump these past two years. But, honestly, we could be seeing a nice comeback from the Mets as they will make a return on the field next year. We might be seeing them in the postseason with all this money that they have. They're definitely buying some good rookies. So you could be seeing East Coast Dodgers, is what you say, to be, the Mets.
Definitely.
So I could definitely see that right there. They're definitely possibly going to make the postseason. We're going to have to see. But Mets making a good choice right there.
Right, and also, one last thing before we move on. They need starting pitchers to go with Jacob deGrom and David Peterson, and Noah Syndergaard is going to be coming off injury next year.
I agree.
They got to get some pitchers in there. A guy like Charlie Morton, who's going to be a free agent. Trevor Bauer is also going to be a free agent. Those 2 guys have to be highly considered by the Mets going forward this offseason.
100%, I agree with you. So, the Mets, with all this money that they have, it's not only just... and
they got to spend it wisely, too. They can't just throw it around.
It's not just players, it's also faculty and everything else.
Right.
So
they just got to get in there and get the whole thing situated.
Right. So,
but this is going to be a good step forward and a momentous day in Mets franchise history.
I 100% agree with you right there. As we also will take you over to the NFL Week 7, which was last Sunday. We have a lot of teams that face each other. We're going to start off in New Orleans as the Saints face the Panthers, and the Saints actually played really well. beating former teammate Bridgewater and the Panthers 27-24. So a good win by the Saints. Hopefully they can keep that up because I know they have a lot of injured players right now. But Deontay Harris made a return from being injured. He was out for only one game, but that was fine. But he's back now with a touchdown. So good job by Deontay Harris.
Yeah, definitely. The Saints, they've been struggling with injury so far. Michael Thomas hasn't played a game yet. Emmanuel Sanders has gotten hurt. They need to get those two guys back. Breeze has been getting himself back into form game by game. He's looking better. The Saints right now are 4-2. They're in a good position for a wild card spot at the moment. And definitely Saints fans need to be in a pretty decent situation right now, considering all the injuries they've had so far.
Exactly. We also take you over to, surprisingly, in New York, the Jets were able to score on the Bills, but they weren't able to top the win against Josh Allen and the Bills as the Bills won 18-10. So Jets, I mean, you're getting points on the Bills. I got to give you that, but it's not going to get you the wins you need, and the losses are going to keep coming by the Jets. And honestly, this season's not for them. We're just going to have to wait and see next year. So
definitely, the Jets have been absolutely deplorable in every sense of the word. They barely scored. I mean, this is their best offensive performance all year, it seems, and they only scored 10 points. They're not going to win any games. 0-16 looks really in their future. And as for the Bills, they're 5-2 right now. They're looking good. Definitely, because that division came out of nowhere. They came out of nowhere because the Patriots right now, they're tanking. The Dolphins are sort of like up and down. The Jets have been horrendous.
Bills are up there.
The Bills are definitely going to really have a clean sweep of this division.
100%.
But the question is for the Bills, how far will they go in the playoffs, and will Josh Allen continue to ascend?
Exactly.
Those are the two questions I have to look for the Bills. So for the rest of the season.
So we got to see about that. Browns' offense was also key in last weekend's game as the Browns beat the Bengals 37-34. So Browns, I mean, I'm seeing some improvement in them overall. I still think they need to work on their offense a little bit. It's not the best. I mean, in my opinion, I just feel like the Bengals though are even worse, and they're not helping each other out. I think both sides of the field are terrible for the Bengals right now, and you know, I definitely think they can improve and win games, but they're not gonna get the wins that they really want. So
definitely, the Bengals have been very interesting because you got your franchise guy. You got Joe Burrow. He was actually more impressive to me than Baker Mayfield was, because Joe Burrow was going against a very good Browns defense, and Baker Mayfield barely beat the Bengals defense. And that's scary for the Browns. I know they're 5-2 right now. They're in a good spot, but as a Browns fan, you got to be a little iffy that you almost beat the Bengals. And now as for the Bengals, it's not going to be your year this year, but you got your quarterback. Continue to get players on your offensive line.
And you got the whole offseason to even continue practicing.
Definitely.
I definitely think they're going to keep their quarterback, so their quarterback could definitely improve over time. Who knows? You could be seeing a rise in Baker Mayfield next year.
Definitely.
So we'll just take you over to the Cowboys, as they are officially the second worst team in the league, I gotta say, as they lost to the Washington State football team. Well, as we know, the Washington State football team has been losing a lot of games lately, and they put a number in Washington against the Cowboys. And that was a good game because both bad teams faced each other, but Washington crushed the Cowboys, and Washington never wins. So Washington won that game 25-3. And the real question is, should Mike McCarthy get fired? In my opinion, I think he should.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I think it's also the players, but here's the thing. I think it's the players too. I think the players' performance is playing a huge role, but I think it's the coach for making the play calls. The play calls that they've been running with are terrible. Running on 3rd down, running on 4th down. Why would you do that? It's the coach. So
definitely, I totally agree with you there. Mike McCarthy's been a problem. The play calling has been just as bad as the end of Green Bay tenure. But the thing about that's been really astounding to me is that as soon as Dak Prescott leaves, their team absolutely fall apart. That should say something about how much Dak Prescott means to this team. But I think
they lost their best player.
They did.
That's just a big statement to say that it's over for the Cowboys this season.
It really is over for them. They have to really consider blowing this thing up and restarting over, because they all over the place. They have problems. They spent way too much money on players they should not have. and now it's coming back to bite them. Jerry Jones is going to be looking pretty disappointed.
And Jerry Jones is a really good owner right
bad
there.
mistakes.
He's a really good owner.
He is, but he made 2 bad mistakes. The first one was hiring Mike McCarthy, and the second one was paying Ezekiel Elliott a ton of money. And you can't pay running backs in this league.
And not getting anything in return.
It always backfires. You saw Gurley.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. Le'Veon Bell, that didn't work out. Ezekiel Elliott's not working out. Anytime you pay a high-priced running back, it never works out. Don't do that. It's bad. The Cowboys got to blow it up and be competitive in the next 3 years.
Yeah. Still not looking great as the Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson is still on their slump going with their defense as they lost 35-20 against the Packers. Packers picked up a great win right there. We also have a very close game in Atlanta as Matt Ryan and the Falcons lost better by the point, 22-23 against the Lions. That was a close game, but honestly, I think the Lions, they have a good shot this season. Falcons, we got to see more, in my opinion. We got to see more. It is obvious that the Lions are better than the Falcons, obviously, and they're kind of in the same range, except Falcons, you could put a little more losses with them, but, we got to see more from the Falcons. We also take over the Steelers as they're one of the best teams in the league. They're still undefeated right there. Watch out.
In the league.
Yep, watch out. Roethlisberger is doing really well right now. He's making these throws that we've never seen before. Juju is amazing.
Yep.
We're seeing a lot from the Steelers.
A rookie, Claypool's really coming out for them. And their defense has been very good. Although they did lose on a field goal to Tennessee, which was really demoralizing for Tennessee. Don't worry, your team's still good. But this just shows how good that Pittsburgh can be.
The Titans are pretty good too. Got to give it to them.
Yeah, it was a very good game. Both teams are going to be playoff teams, and it's really going to be interesting to see how
So that score was 27-24. Bucks also win big with Brady beating the Las Vegas Raiders 45-20. Buccaneers should be seeing more wins after they picked up Antonio Brown.
That is a huge pickup for the Buccaneers.
Honestly, I don't think Antonio Brown should have won with the Buccaneers in my opinion. Buccaneers are already looking pretty well.
Yeah, but guess what? He doesn't have to be, he doesn't have to know if Brady's not going to throw the ball to him because
100%.
he knows that Brady's going to throw the ball to him. I mean, just look at this all-star roster you got on the offensive side.
And the win against Raiders, they didn't have Antonio Brown in the roster, and they still destroyed the Raiders 45-20. So we should be seeing way more than we actually think from the Buccaneers.
One last thing about the Buccaneers. If you have an offense consisting of Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk, Antonio Brown, you can't stop that offense.
I'm a little worried because I know the Buccaneers are facing the Saints, and I know that's going to be a really good game to watch. We know in the past, Saints are way better than the Buccaneers, but Buccaneers nowadays are looking really good, so we're going to be seeing a good matchup this Sunday.
Definitely. If you're a Buccaneers fan, by the way, Tom Brady has just turned into the Godfather. He's recruiting people left and right. It's unbelievable right now.
100%. Chiefs won with no surprise, hammering the Broncos 43-16. Broncos, again, they need their players back. They have injured players. They've been losing a lot of games, going with their offense and defense. And who knows? Broncos can get even more hurt players as the weeks go on. It's only October. We still have 2 months in the NFL season, so... Chargers also putting a beating to the Jaguars, winning 39-29, and the Jaguars need to improve their defense right now. As we see the Jaguars, they have not been keeping it close. They've been completely letting the other team score, and that's not good. So Jaguar fans, I'm sorry, this might not be your year.
No,
but you might be getting the win-loss ratio evened.
Definitely.
You're not gonna take complete losses like the Cowboys. You're still up there, but not the best. Patriots not looking good as well as they took a big loss to the 49ers. And what does this mean for the Patriots? They're still losing with Newton and Edelman. And we expected more of the Patriots. Patriots are your winning team. They're like the team you look at in the NFL, but not this year.
I expected the Patriots to win the division because the last 20 years have told me never bet against the Patriots. This year is different though, because Tom Brady means no winning. And this proves a lot that Tom Brady was a big part of the Patriots' success.
I'm not gonna lie, I still think Brady, it was a good move that Brady went to the Buccaneers.
Oh,
Buccaneers
definitely.
were way worse than the Patriots, so that was a Great move by the.
And look at all these offensive
trade.
weapons Brady has.
Yeah.
He has 2 really good running backs, 3 All-Pro
The
receivers,
Patriots defense.
and his tight end. That's his guy.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the Patriots' defense and offense can still improve over time. They're not like your complete losing team. We're still seeing wins from the Patriots. I just feel like they need to actually put more time and effort than just giving the ball to Newton and having him run. That's not really Newton for you.
Yep.
But anyway, they lost 33-6 against the 49ers, and now we know the 49ers, they're that okay team. But losing to the Patriots, that really shows something to Patriot fans. We also move on to the Seahawks as they took the L. But Seahawks fans, don't worry, because the Seahawks can easily pick up a win again. So, I mean, that was the loss, you know.
I mean, they lost in overtime. They were really competitive again. The only problem is for
Seattle.
Seattle.
3 points, so.
Right, they did.
You know,
but the problem is for Seattle is that their defense is giving up tons of points, and that's going to be a problem against better teams than the Cardinals.
The offense is perfectly fine. We're seeing a lot of wins and a lot of pass completions and a lot of touchdowns and running. They're running, and when they do run the ball, they're getting some yards in. So it's not over for the Seahawks. That win didn't define the team, obviously. That was just a loss by them. But they did lose against the Arizona Cardinals. What does this mean by Arizona Cardinal fans? I mean, your team actually beat the Seahawks. How does it feel? Normally the Cardinals are not that good of a team, but
this year
they're getting somewhere this year.
They are. I mean, just look at the team 2 years ago.
Yep.
You had Josh Rosen. You had a first-year head coach. Everything was a mess. 2 years later, you have a really good coach in Cliff Kingsbury, a really dynamic quarterback in Kyler Murray, and you got some guy, and you added DeAndre Hopkins, who you completely stole away from the Texans. Yeah. And now you're winning games. They could easily make the playoffs.
Cardinals won that game 37-34. We definitely should be seeing the playoffs. I mean, Cardinals being
if I'm a Cardinal,
going with the Seahawks as well.
Definitely. If I'm a Cardinal fan right now, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah.
Because might have another decade of this.
Yeah.
And this might be great football in Arizona.
100%. I agree with you right there. Rams also picked up a nice win, 24-10, like we said in the beginning of the show. Rams, we should be seeing them in the playoffs too. Let's see if they win. Let's see if they win it. Let's see if LA really is the city for champions.
Is it title town this year?
Is it title town? Who knows? That'd be kind of impressive to see right there. All 3 teams in the same city win.
Yep.
LA people, if you live in LA and you guys are Los Angeles fans, be ready. We could be seeing a title
Definitely.
City. Week 8 also started last night as we have the Falcons as they played the Panthers. Now this was another team that faced each other at the same time. This was last weekend they played, and now last night they played as well. Falcons actually won this time.
Definitely.
You know, what can we see from the Falcons? Because they were slumping. Now they took that win. But I just feel like they need to keep that win ratio going up.
Definitely.
They've been constantly losing games. We want to see more wins from the Falcons than just last night's win.
Definitely. Well, in my opinion on the Falcons, right, there's not that much different. They fired their coach. It's really invigorated them.
Panthers are also not that good of a team, by the way. They're 3-4
and they're not that good, which says a lot about their coach.
Exactly. They're actually one of the worst teams right now in the NFC South.
And they're competitive. They almost beat the Falcons.
We've been seeing a lot of wins a couple of seasons back of the Panthers, but this season it's not the greatest. It's because they don't have Cam Newton. They don't really know who to rely on besides Olsen. So we want to see more from both teams, honestly, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So, without further ado, that's it for today's Sports Grind Season 2, Episode 11. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'm Tyler Warville.
And I'm Mickey Perella.
And you guys tuning in on to Sports Grind Season 2, Episode 11.